Switching gears, let's talk about the expansive and secretive renovation project at the California Capitol. Its total cost is expected to exceed $1 billion, yet nobody, it seems, is allowed to talk about it. That's thanks to more than 2,000 non disclosure agreements that have been signed by top lawmakers, government leaders, state employees, and the scads of non government folk who are in charge of design and construction. A bill that would undo that secrecy might be dead. Here to talk about it is Adam Herbets, an investigative reporter for the Center Square. Adam, give us some background here. What is this project? When did it start? What's the purpose of these secrecy agreements?
Well, this all started in 2016. We're talking about 10 years of history on this project. It's not slated to be completed anytime soon. One of the reasons it's going to cost over $1 billion. For background, me personally, I left California to take another reporting job in another state in Nevada. Then I was in Utah for 7 years. I'm now back in California 10 years later, and we're still talking about this project in 2026. It's office buildings at the state capitol. It's more than $1 billion, and they don't really want anyone in the public to talk about the details surrounding this project. So anytime you don't want someone to talk about it, you end up talking about how we can't talk about it. And that's why we're here, because we have all these non-disclosure agreements. The state lawmakers who are moving into the building aren't really allowed to know much information about this. It's all really just kept to this tight circle, the Joint Rules Committee, which is not saying much.
Now, you've talked with a member of the California State Assembly, Josh Hoover, a Republican. Let's see what he had to say about this.
Non-disclosure agreements are, you know, by definition, anti-transparent. They're meant to hide information. On the Capitol Annex Project, they've been used to pretty much silence everyone involved with the project, including legislators, including construction workers.
What do you think could be in there that they might not want us to see?
I've been wondering that for a long time, and I think, I always thought, obviously, cost concerns, a lot can be hidden from the public, and I don't think that's how it should operate, especially when it's taxpayer dollars that are funding something.
So, Hoover proposed legislation to eliminate the secrecy, right?
Yeah, he wants to get rid of non-disclosure agreements across the board. He's not just worried about this project, although it's the poster child for his bill, and it would be retroactive, so it would negate those NDAs if it were to get a hearing. But hey, when you have a bill on Capitol Hill, it's up to the Joint Rules Committee to assign it to a committee so that it could be heard, so it could be debated, so that lawmakers can discuss it and vote on it. The same people leading this project are the same people who he says essentially refuse to even assign it to a committee so it can be debated. And the irony is not lost on him that the same people that are behind all these non disclosure agreements won't even let his bill be heard.
so, is it likely to get any kind of debate this year?
Doesn't look like it. So today's May 21st, the day we're recording this. The House of Origin deadline is May 27th. It would be pretty fast to force a bill through in 6 days. It's happened. Certainly, if it's a priority for leadership, they could make that happen. But there's been no momentum. He introduced this in February. More than 3 months later, it's not even assigned to a committee. So he's assuming it's going to wither on the vine, and he assumes that that's the point.
So, what kinds of information are people seeking that they just can't get?
Mostly money, but at the end of the day, we don't know what we don't know. I mean, that's why I asked him, what do you think's in there that they don't want us to know? And of course, the answer is we don't know what they don't want us to know. The assumption is that it has something to do with money, has something to do with the deadlines. Obviously, nobody wants a project like this to take more than 10 years. 1.1 billion is a lot of money. The latest report that came out said they were at risk of going 98 million over budget. That's a lot of money. I get it. 98 million out of 1.1 billion is, not a 50% increase or anything like that, but 98 million is a lot of money. So that's a concern. One of the odd things about this project is that they're taking granite from California, shipping it to Italy to be cut, and then shipping it back to California to be used on this project. Obviously, everyone is asking the same questions about that as you and me. I mean, the first thing that goes through anyone's mind is how is that possibly the cheapest way to go about finishing a construction project? Sending granite to Italy, Italian cut granite for a California project. They say that's the cheapest way to do it. They say there is another company that could have done it in California, but that would have been more expensive. That's hard to fact check when you have non-disclosure agreements. So reporters like you and I want to be able to fact check this stuff. The average citizen who has this money come out of their taxes wants to know, when is this going to finally be finished? And yeah, questions like that are tough to answer.
Is it common for these types of agreements to exist for public projects?
California says it's common. It's up for debate, and there are groups across the country that want to put a stop to this. One of the groups that we interviewed was one of the founding members of a group called the Ban Secret Deals Coalition. So non-disclosure agreements do exist, but if this bill were to go through and be voted on and approved, they wouldn't exist in California. And I think that's his main point is there's a lot of things that could happen, even if they're not necessarily happening on this one. We just don't know. So whenever you don't know what's going on inside government, people are going to talk about it, people are going to question it, and they're probably going to assume the worst in some cases. And I think that's the crux of why he wants this bill to at least be heard.
All right. Well, thanks, Adam, for following this. We'll look forward to your future reporting on it.